Good morning from Sarajevo. Today I have a mission, and that mission is to find my way through the streets of Sarajevo to that cable car off in the distance that goes up to the peak of the nearby mountain, which offers panoramic views of Sarajevo. And also up there is the old 1984 Winter Olympics Bobsleigh Track. So I wouldn't mind finding that. So join me on this mission as I trek through the streets of Sarajevo, through the Bosnia district, on this epic journey of discovery. Welcome to Sarajevo. I'm here at the peak of Mount Trebević. I might have butchered that name. Apologies for that. My pronunciation isn't the best. I'm still learning. But it's June 3rd, 2024, and it's quite mild today. Yesterday it was pretty scorching hot, but today it's not as bad. And I've come up here on the cable car. It cost me 20 Bosnian marks, which I believe is roughly about 10 euros, I think. I'm still getting used to the conversion rate here. But like I say, I kind of cheated. You can walk up here, I believe, and drive up, but apparently it's an hour and a half journey up and an hour and a half journey down. You can buy a one-way ticket or a return ticket, but there was a bit of an issue when I bought the ticket for the cable car, and that issue was that when I asked how much a return ticket was, the lady at the desk says 330, and I says 330 marks, and she says yes, and 330 marks is a lot of money for a return ticket. That is very, very expensive. So after misunderstanding that, I says, oh no, one way. And I says, how long to walk back? And she says, an hour and a half. And then I asked, is there a path, or is there like, clearly marked path? And she says, yes, there's steps. But on the cable car up, I could not see any steps at all. So this is an adventure for both of us, for all of us here. Thank you for watching this. I'm excited to be in Sarajevo. It's a place that I've always wanted to see. It's got quite a complicated history, fascinating history. It's multicultural, diverse, multi-ethnic. It's just a fascinating place, and it's got a lot to offer. So I've been here a couple of days now. This is my second full day. I've been here for 3 nights, but this is my second full day. And from my hotel, I'm staying at Hotel Art, or the Art Hotel, down by the Bosnia district in Sarajevo Old Town. I actually got here late at night on Saturday night, and I didn't see the view from my hotel room, but the view from the hotel room is absolutely tremendous. When I opened the curtains in the morning, it revealed an expansive view right along sort of the peaks of the Dinaric Alps, which Sarajevo is nestled almost in like a valley, I would say. Maybe that's the best way of, I don't know if that's the best way of describing it geographically, but it's got the Dinaric Alps on either side. And here we have actually seen the first part of the bobsleigh track, because 1984 Winter Olympics in Sarajevo, and up on this peak we have the old bobsleigh track, and we are here, and I've just seen it poking through the trees, and we'll see if we can follow it. It's in disrepair. I don't think it's been used since the 1984 Winter Olympics, and okay, so I actually see that people are actually walking down it and using it. And here we have the start of the track. And as you see there, it goes quite steep. Part of it is in disrepair. Well, all of it's in disrepair. Overrun, abandoned. And I'm not sure, I guess this bit where I'm standing was maybe for spectators. So let's see if we can get onto this track safely from where I am. And we'll see if we can follow it down and see what we see. So this is an adventure. Do I regret not buying the return ticket on the cable car? No, not yet. We'll find out if that changes. And there's a bit of the bobsleigh track seems to have collapsed there, I think. Yeah, okay. So now we're following the actual track down. 1984 athletes, the bobsleigh athletes, would have been launched down here on their sled, and you can see just off in the distance there where those folks are, the bend in the track. Now, I don't know if this is the case for the Alps and the mountains around Sarajevo. However, I have heard that in the Balkans, in the hills, there can be bears and wild dogs. Now, fortunately, I haven't seen any yet, and hopefully that remains the case. However, I'm sure we will find out together. Hopefully, we won't find out for the worst, but we will find out. We will see. Here we go. Some of the track here. Spot for graffiti artists now, it seems. And continue down the track as it comes into a bit of a bend here. What a treat it is to be able to walk down this track, guys. To think 40 years ago this track was being used by the athletes. Coming up for another bend here in the track, and we see more of the talent of the Bosnian graffiti artists over the years. Over the last 40 years, as I say, this seems to become a bit of an art display, to be honest. And it's fascinating that this bobsleigh track just cuts into the mountainside so well, and it's just been left here. It's part of the natural environment now, almost. That's quite cool. Check that out. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Very cool. So, wind's picking up though. Chilly. It's not as warm as it was yesterday. Still stupidly never put on any sun cream yesterday because, you know what, I'm a Scotsman and pale as a snowman. It doesn't take much to burn me. And being used to the Northern European climate, I'm not used to this sort of humidity and heat. But thankfully today and also because we're up in the mountains, there's a fresh breeze. Now here, guys, this is quite interesting. I think that's a portion of the track that has collapsed, and I see that the track actually splits off. I'm not actually familiar with bobsleighing as a sport, but I guess you have different tracks and different lanes. This one seems to have split apart completely, just veering off to the left there. Presumably, obviously, the athletes would have came down that way rather than going up, or, well, I don't know, maybe they had enough velocity to go up there, enough speed, who knows. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty fascinating so far, and just following this old track down, it's actually providing the perfect track, to be fair. And oh, I've just spotted those stairs that the lady at the cable car counter told me about. So maybe there are stairs that go right down to the bottom and back into Sarajevo city centre. But I guess we will find out soon enough. So there's quite a few venues, or certainly the remnants of different venues from the 1984 Winter Olympics spread across the hills and the mountains of Sarajevo and across Sarajevo itself. I believe most of them are in disrepair now, having never been used. And now we're just about to pass an elderly couple, so just give me a second. Thank you. There we go. Okay, continue down. We're coming towards another bend here. Some more graffiti there. And what is absolutely wild to me, guys, and I was thinking about this coming up on the cable car there, the hills and the peaks surrounding Sarajevo are the positions that around the city to relentlessly pound and shell the city for the better part of 4 or 5 years during the siege of Sarajevo, the longest urban siege in modern history, longer than the siege of Stalingrad apparently. Well, yeah, it lasted about, I believe it was 1,400 days, or approximate 1,400 days it lasted for. So absolutely horrendous what the inhabitants of Sarajevo experienced. It was absolutely awful. But here we are, we're coming down towards another bend here, folks. See that the Siege of Sarajevo Museum, I went into that this morning. That was harrowing, really moving experience, quite disturbing, and it actually shed a wee bit more light on the human cost of the Bosnian War, and in particular the onslaught that Sarajevo and the people who lived there experienced. It's just unimaginable, and it's absolutely horrendous that that was experienced. Wow, check this out, guys. Amazing. Here we are, rejoining the track. Just seen a photo up there. Had to capture it. So, everywhere you go in Sarajevo, understandably, you don't have to go far to be reminded of that conflict and that horrendous atrocity. When you're walking along the streets of Sarajevo, near the old town of Basharcha and some of the other areas in the city centre there, you can't help but notice every now and then that you come across a red shape, actually part of the tiles, the concrete. And what that is, I found out, it's red resin that has been sunken in to actually mark a place in the ground or a place in the street that was struck by an artillery shell. And I believe it was specifically marking a place that someone or people, an individual or people were killed by those artillery shells, of which there were sadly many. Guys, this is crazy. This is like something from a film. I'll show you what I'm seeing here. This track here abandoned and just one with the landscape. This concrete structure is almost like something from The Last of Us or a disaster movie. Let's continue following it down and see what we see. I'm half expecting to look around and see the trees rustling, but that's just my paranoia about coming across a bear. As I say, someone will have to let me know if there are actually bears that inhabit these hills or these mountains. But certainly I've heard that the hills and the mountains in the Balkans do have a large population of brown and black bears. So perhaps someone can educate me as to whether or not the hills or the mountains, the Dinaric mountains around Sarajevo, are inhabited by bears. For 4 or 5 years, for over 1,400 days, Sarajevo was bombarded and pelted, surrounding the city on all sides, led by General Ratko Mladic, ordered to shell Sarajevo intermittently, repeatedly, sustained shelling, and he gave the infamous order to his forces to, quote, shell them until they were on the edge of madness. The city, the inhabitants of the city, all the target of this horrendous onslaught. But yeah, have you done any day trips, or are you just staying in Sarajevo?
I've came from Mostar.
Ah, okay.
And today I'm driving to Montenegro.
Oh wow!
I'm cycling.
Oh
so
wow!
that is my day off.
Ah, okay, I see.
Tomorrow I go on.
Where are you going next?
To Mostar.
Mostar. Okay, I'm going there on a train in a few days.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
But I come back here, fly away from Sarajevo back to Scotland.
I see.
Ah.
I will try.
Yeah. Where are you from?
From Poland.
From Poland. Ah.
You are from?
Scotland.
Scotland.
Scotia.
Yeah, Scotia.
Our daughter
You
who
know-
was in Scotland.
Yeah, when she was a student in agriculture department,
Ah, okay.
she went for practice for 1 month to Scotland.
Oh guys, so that was good. Just spoke to a few fellow travellers there. A young lady from Germany, a chap from Frankfurt who was cycling on a cycling trip, and an older couple from Poland. It's always good to meet other travellers and speak to them and hear what they have to say about the place that you're visiting, hear what they think about it. So I hope you don't mind staring at concrete for a bit. Mind you, probably a better sight than staring at this Scottish face. Indeed. Well guys, I was asking those folks, I don't know why I thought they would have a better idea than me, but I was asking them if they knew how long the track went on for, and none of them knew. So I don't want to continue on for too much longer because I'm not entirely sure how long the track goes. So I've decided to walk back up and see what I come across. Tell you what though guys, nice serene setting, nice and peaceful. It's almost like being back home in this forest surrounded by these trees, and almost feels like I'm back in the forests of the northeast of Scotland. Oh, almost took a slide there guys. Wow, would have been the first Scottish bobslayer, makeshift bobslayer, to go down this track, slide down it in 40 years. That is to say, if there were any Scottish bobsleighers in the first place 40 years ago. Oh. Here we go. My American friends. My American friends.
Yes. Hello.
Go on, guys. Stay safe.
Alright.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Bye bye. Some more traveling friends. This time from the States, from Colorado. And nice folk. As I say, always good to speak to any travellers you come across. Oh, now look at this. Up ahead here we have it looks like a guy in a bicycle helmet. I think he's maybe been following the track on a bicycle, which I believe is something you can do. Although I do hope that a mountain bike doesn't come racing down here. Oh, he's on a motorbike. Motorbikes. Triumphs. Nice bikes. And here, following the track up and round. What ended the siege of Sarajevo? Relentless siege. Well, as far as I understand, the Dayton Accord was an agreement eventually struck between each side, and also NATO got involved after a few particularly horrendous strikes on Sarajevo that had quite a big death toll. NATO got involved and began properly airstriking the Bosnian Serb positions on the mountains, hitting them hard and hitting some of their heavy weapons. Some of the different figures in that were involved at the time: Izetbegović, the Bosnian president, and then you had Slobodan Milosevic, the Serbian president, and Franjo Tuđman, the Croatian president. Following a steady stream of people coming down the way, we're going up the way. I highly recommend that you track down and watch. There's a 6 or 7 part series on YouTube called The Death of Yugoslavia. I believe it was a BBC series, and I believe it was made in 1995, so a bit older now, but nonetheless incredibly insightful and interesting to watch. It sheds some light on the breakup of Yugoslavia. And it interviews some of the key figures during the breakup and the Yugoslav wars. Slobodan Milosevic, Milan Kucan of Slovenia, Radovan Karadzic of the Bosnian Serbs, Alija Izetbegović, Franjo Tuđman, Lord Carrington, and some of the other important figures. Wow, guys, I'm sweating like Chewbacca in a sauna here, man. But still enjoying the climb, and that's the light rain on now, so if the rain comes on any heavier, the GoPro will be going in the rucksack to save it from getting too wet. Woke up this morning, guys, about 7:30, got ready, start my day off with nice Bosnian breakfast, courtesy of Hotel Art, which is where I'm staying for the duration of my trip. Quite reasonably priced, and so far can't fault them. They've been more than willing to offer advice and help and sort of get you orientated with the layout of the city, offering maps and things and suggestions for tours. Now I was hoping to make it back down to Sarajevo city centre by 2 o'clock, because 2 o'clock was when one of the tours was scheduled to leave. The tour of the Tunnel of Hope. The Tunnel of Hope tour shows you massive tunnel network that was constructed during the siege of Sarajevo, 1982 to 1985, early 1986 I believe as well. And that tunnel was constructed with the primary aim and objective of creating a way to smuggle things and smuggle people, I guess, in and out of the besieged city. A way that would prevent the surrounding artillery and from attacking or posing any danger to any aid or any people being smuggled into the city. Now, the Siege of Sarajevo Museum, which I visited this morning, was very fascinating. It shed some light into how people continue to live their lives during the years of the siege, and obviously during a siege it's very hard to maintain a normal day-to-day life, seen as they cut off water. The forces besieging the city cut off the water, cut off supply lines, cut off electricity, I believe, making it very, very difficult for the inhabitants of the city to live on a day-to-day basis. Down there, it's about centre frame, is the old city hall of Sarajevo. Just off to the left of that, just obscured by the trees, is the Bosnian district. The old Ottoman Turkish architecture visible there. And what's fascinating is here we have some Polish biker guys here. Look at that, guys. I believe off in the distance as well you can actually see the Olympic Stadium, I believe one of the venues for the 1984 Winter Olympics. And just through the trees there we have the Hotel Holiday. Hotel Holiday was, in fact, the base for the international correspondents and the journalists during the siege, as I believe it was one of the only buildings, if not the only building, in downtown Sarajevo that still had electricity and power. The wonderful thing that I've noticed about Sarajevo is the three distinct architectural styles that mark the different periods of the city's history. Sarajevo, for hundreds of years, was controlled by the Ottomans, after which the Habsburgs and the Austrians came in. And you can actually see the Bosnian district, especially the Turkish Ottoman architectural styles that were synonymous at the time in the region. Also, you see the more European style architecture, which you may very well see or recognize from the likes of Vienna or Prague or Paris or some of these Western and Central European cities. And the third architectural style that speaks to the history of the city is the communist, would be that of the communist era, socialist era, when Bosnia and Herzegovina was part of Yugoslavia, before Yugoslavia broke up. And you had, well, Yugoslavia under different names and different iterations, but 1940s to 1991, 1992, you had the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, which Bosnia, along with 5 other republics and 2 autonomous regions within Serbia, they all comprised of the Yugoslavian state. Bosnia and Herzegovina, along with Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, Macedonia, and the 2 autonomous regions within Serbia, Kosovo and Vojvodina. And Yugoslavia existed, as I say, under different names and different iterations, different ways, different forms, until 1991, and the Yugoslav wars broke out. The former leader of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, Marshal Josip Broz Tito, led the country until his death in 1980. And he kept Yugoslavia together. The diverse religious and ethnic groups, nationalities, he kept them together through a strict policy known as brotherhood and unity that would immediately squash and stamp out any signs of nationality among the republics and the different ethnic groups. By the way, guys, I strongly advise you to go out and read or watch a documentary about some of these things that I've talked about, because my knowledge of Yugoslavia and the breakup of Yugoslavia is barely surface level. In fact, some of the things I may have mentioned, I may have got the years slightly off, I may have got the figures slightly off, so I'm by no means am I claiming to be an expert on the topic. I'm just trying to give you some of the surface level knowledge that I've tried to read up about before visiting Sarajevo. So I strongly advise that you, if you're interested, it's a fascinating, certainly Sarajevo is a fascinating city, Bosnia and Herzegovina is a fascinating country. It's got a rich history, and you learn something new with every person that you speak to, and every museum you go into, every sign, every plaque, every monument that you read or come across, you learn something different. And it truly is an interesting place. So I'm going to catch the cable car back down and we'll see what we see. Thank you for tuning in to this, and maybe catch you on the next adventure, if I make it back down in the cable car. If I have to pay an extortionate amount, then I guess I will be walking. Anyway guys, maybe see you on the next adventure.